I am Sharif Abu Zaid from Translation Partner, and in this quick video I want to answer a very common question that you may have in mind if you want to translate your documents, your videos or website into another language. The common question says, how much does translation cost? I can just give you like a quick answer to this and say it depends. However, I want to break it down so you can have a clear idea about the factors that are to be considered while quoting for translation services. Actually, there are three main factors to be considered. The first one is the language pair or pairs that you want to translate into. The second one is the type of content that you want to translate. The third one is the level of service that you are looking for. Let me start by the language pairs. Let's say that you want to translate into a common language like Spanish, Arabic, or Chinese. There are many translators who can translate into this language pair. But if you want to translate into an African language like Zulu or Swahili, there are fewer translators who can translate into this language. And also, if you want to translate into a specific dialect in Nigeria, for example, this is totally a different story. So the language pair can have an impact in the cost of the translation services that you need. The second factor to be considered is the type of content that you want to translate. So let's say that you want to translate a press release. This may require like a straightforward translation, and so this can be translated by any translator who have like a good experience or a good track record of translating documents. However, if you want to translate a website into specific language, there are many aspects to be considered. For example, maybe you need to consider the search engine optimization or the SEO aspect of translating your website content. Maybe you need to consider the localization aspect of translating your website, because now you are targeting a totally different audience with a totally different culture. So localization for websites needs to be considered. So the type of content is actually have a great impact in the cost of translation services. The third and the final aspect or factor is the level of service. Let's say that you need to have like a press release to be translated. You can have like one linguist to translate this press release and you can just publish it. And maybe you need to make sure that the translation is more accurate. So now you can ask for two linguists, one for the translation phase and the second one is for the editing phase, because 4 eyes are better than 2 eyes only. So this is like what level of service that you are looking for. And maybe you are translating like a brochure for a medical device or a healthcare program, and you need to have like a subject matter expert to review the translation to make sure that the terminology is perfectly accurate. This is a totally different story. So this again can have an impact into the cost of the translation services that you need. So basically, as I mentioned, there are three main factors to be considered: the language pair, the type of content, and also the level of service that you are looking for. Now, when it comes to the costs, you can have the cost into two different types: the cost per word or the cost per project. Usually translators will charge the cost per word for something like legal documents or financial documents. You can just multiply the number of words of the document into the price per word. For example, let's say that you want to translate something, a legal document, for example, or a legal contract into Spanish. Let's say that this legal contract contains like 1,500 words and the cost into Spanish is 10 cents per word. So 1,500 words multiplied by 10 cents and then the cost is $150. This can be the cost. Another cost can be per project. Let's say, as I mentioned, for translating website, there are different levels of services to be considered: search engine optimization, localization, and maybe subtitling for some of the website videos. In this case, the translator or the agency will give you like a bulk or a flat fee for translating your website, because it includes different levels of or different services to be considered. Here at Translation Partner, we are very honest and transparent when it comes to quoting for translation services. Will give you like our cost, and will break it down into different factors that we have considered while quoting for your translation services. So if you want to translate a document, a website, or a video, or any other content, reach out to us at Translation Partner, and we can have a discussion about the cost of translating this content into the other language or language that you are looking for. Hopefully now you have a clear idea about the factors to be considered when quoting for translation services. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. Bye for now.